The mounting tensions over Ukraine. U.S. and Russian officials announced they will hold talks on January 10th. Those high-stakes discussions come right before a planned meeting with members of the NATO alliance. And, of course, all this comes on the heels of that 2-hour video phone call between President Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin over Russian military buildup along the Ukrainian border. Joining me now is Joe Weisberg, a former CIA officer and the creator of the hit FX series, The Americans. He's out with a new book, Russia Upside Down, an exit strategy for the second Cold War. It examines whether America should rethink its approach to Russia. Joe, it's so good to have you with us, and I want to start with an op-ed that you penned in the Washington Post. You wrote, while the Soviet Union is gone, the fight between the United States and Russia somehow survives. We know the U.S. has had these long-standing tensions with Russia. You argue the back and forth is actually dangerous. So in your view, what exactly is this conflict about, and why do you believe the approach at this point needs to change?
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you. I'm not so sure what the conflict is about anymore, and that's why I was concerned enough about it to write a book. I grew up during the height of the Reagan era, part of the Cold War, and I knew what it was about then. I knew that we hated the Soviet Union because it was communist, because it was atheist, because it was repressive. And then I watched as the Soviet Union fell and it became capitalist, like us. It became, reasonably religiously oriented. The Orthodox Church is an open and important part of their culture now. And it, although still repressive, is less repressive than it used to be. And I wonder if all those things change, why are we still locked in such animosity with them? And I think the answer is we sort of got stuck being enemies, and we don't really need to be anymore.
Certainly a lot of people look at the Russian aggression over the last few years, and they say whether it's election interference, cyber attacks, the spread of misinformation by Russian actors, they believe that the approach the U.S. is taking is warranted. What do you say to those people?
I usually say, look, most of the things you're saying that they are doing are true. There's no question that they're doing them. The most notable being the interference in our elections and the kind of broad-based attack on our society and culture. It is happening. But the problem is you're only looking at what they're doing to us. You're not looking at what we're doing to them. You're not looking at the fact that we have all these sanctions against them, which are essentially an attack on their economy. You're not looking at the fact that we've been expanding NATO closer and closer to their borders, which is a defense alliance built to fight Moscow. And so it's getting closer and closer. It's natural that they're threatened by them. You're not looking at all the treaties we're pulling out of. And if you start to take that into account, then it seems less like they're just attacking us and more that we're stuck in a kind of a back and forth tit for tat.
We have seen Putin tighten his grip on Russia, cracking down on opposition leaders like Alexei Navalny. I pressed Putin about this over the summer at a press conference. And today we learned Russia's Supreme Court has now ordered the country's oldest human rights organization to shut down. What message do you think that Russia is sending with this move?
I don't think that these are so much messages intended for us as they are attempts to retain and expand their control domestically. I should be as clear as I can that I think these are terrible mistakes for Russia. I think that quashing people who disagree with you in that way ultimately hurts your country. Although I do not believe that Russia wants to be or needs to be a liberal democracy, I think that even the Soviet Union learned that that kind of repression ultimately turns around and hurts the country. So I think it's a terrible idea, but it's not really our role to punish them for it. I think the more appropriate response is really to be a little bit saddened by it. Because we should want the best for Russia and we should want the best for that country in general. And so if it's doing things that harm it, that's a shame. But that's no different than how they should feel that all the tumult in our country. They shouldn't feel alarmed by it. They should actually feel sad that we're having so much trouble and so polarized. And if we can sort of shift our attitude so that it's less aggressive towards each other and more wanting what's best for each other as each country defines it, I think that would be better.
So if your view is that the current way we are handling our conflicts with Russia is not working, can you outline for us the framework for how American policy could change and what steps you think the U.S. should take to reduce some of the tensions with Russia?
I would start with the idea that we have to figure out something to do unilaterally, that there's so much bad faith between the two countries, so much mutual aggression and mutual attack, that it may be hard to kind of negotiate any kind of change in it. And if we just unilaterally, for example, rescind sanctions, stop going after their economy, if we stop trying to expand NATO, So stop doing those things that will make them feel so threatened. Then let's see how they respond. By the way, we should do those things regardless of how they respond. And I don't think those things are risky. You could always reinstate sanctions, for example, but I think they would be kind of a sign that we can give Russia that we're actually interested in having less animosity between our two countries.
Joe, we appreciate your insight on this topic. Thank you so much for joining us. Russia Upside Down, an exit strategy for the Second Cold War, is available wherever books are sold.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.